what they are saying. I want to make a transfer from your bank to another bank. And they are telling me that you need to
authorize.
They need your consent. So she now said, no, now that you are here, now that you are in the bank, that consent is no longer needed.
I mean, is she the owner of the money?
So I now said, okay, looking at the scenario, I now saw a check leave. I said, okay, let me withdraw some money so I can keep, since we're in the era of looking for cash. So the operations manager told me that, look, the platform for withdrawing through check is
closed.
It's not available. So I had to plead with him to say, look, I just need something to oil the organization and stuff like that. She now said, okay, I can come back by 1 p.m. So I said, okay, can I leave the check? He said, no, I should go with the check. When I'm coming back, I should come with the check. So at about 1, I pull a call across to him. And you know what he said to me? That as he's talking to me now, that even the bank is closed by, by 1 p.m. So, I mean, I'm confused. This is the second day now. The transfer has not been effected. I have not been able to withdraw. When I stepped out and I saw the long queue, I mean,
within the bank premises.
Within the bank premises for people who want to use the ATM access. I saw that. I know. I just tried to, make an inquiry. The last person on the queue was holding number 200.
But this is not funny, sir.
It's not funny because, maybe from your own perspective, you now say, okay, I don't actually need to carry cash. But when you say that to the ordinary man who wants to enter keke, there's also another experience of a cleaner who couldn't come to office because she didn't have access to cash to be able to pay keke, to be able to come to the office. She genuinely wanted to come to the office.
So the economy is just shut down.
So that's where we are. So going back to platform, I try to reason what the bank was trying to do. If care is not taken, there can be a run on a bank as I'm talking to you now. Because why I think that restricting those transfers is that the people are angry. Okay, so now it's okay. If I go to this bank, I'm unable to do this transaction. Let me move my money. You understand? In anger, you could have so many of those customers moving their money. So that bank may end up having issues at the end of the day. So we're playing with a lot of dangerous things as I'm talking to you now. What about the angry people on the ATM queue?
We are seeing videos everywhere now.
So
somebody said these are fathers to children.
So it gets to a point, maybe you are number 200 on the line, and you now get to number 150, and money gets finished on the ATM. So we are playing with a risk that may affect the financial institution. There are some language I don't really want to use. You understand? So when you have banks across, genuinely now, the people, it's their money.
Yes.
They work for the money and they want to have access to their money. Okay? Transfer is not possible. Cash is not possible. So what do you want them to do?
What do you want them to do? So somebody was asking me the other day, he said, oh boy, what is the exchange rate of Naira to Naira in your location? Because, okay, just yesterday, I needed to, I was fixing my car. So I already told the guy, I said, look, if you finish, you know how it is, I'm going to transfer. We'll try until it goes. Yeah. So, but then I needed to drink water.
those are the little
I will now begin to transfer 200 Naira for a bottle of water.
Yeah. So that brings me to what they did in East Africa. There is a platform in East Africa they call the M-Pesa.
Yes.
Okay. So the M-Pesa is not relying on the bank.
Telecoms.
Through the telecoms. And you don't need a sophisticated phone to be able to do an M-Pesa transaction. And It's very common among the
ordinary
people.
Kenyans.
So you want to buy a bottle of water, 100 naira. You bring out your phone, whatever, transfer 100 naira. Charges are not, charges at that level are very, very insignificant. You understand? So, for me, if I were to be advising the monetary policy organization, I will probably be telling them that, look, you had an opportunity to pull out the big denominations.
Yes.
Okay? Talking about 1,000 naira, talking about the 500, talking about the 200. You will have used this policy without making an announcement to technically withdraw those denominations from the market. Then, in its place, you now
flood the market with the 100 naira, the 50 naira, the 20 naira
notes. Okay? I mean, because I didn't go to the point where the operations manager of that bank gave me an option. Like, look, if you want to withdraw up to 300,000, I'm going to give you a 100 naira denomination. You know, from there I begin to have a rethink.
Where are you going to keep those kind of money?
So, the policy, I was discussing with somebody yesterday, and he said, look, there was no stakeholder engagement. Okay, that everybody, Nigeria are so intelligent. How do I know? If you listen to our radio programs, when you see, the radio programs are driven by calling, where people calling, the ordinary man calling, everybody calling, you will see the level of intelligence that Nigerian possess. So, if you want to introduce a major policy like that, throw it out. The people will give you ideas that you never
even thought of.
You never thought of. Because of vote buying, a lot of people believe in this policy, but the punishment aspect now is the one.
It's eroding the whatever benefit that should have come with the policy.
One that they cannot really.
They cannot cope with it,
and it's not late. CBN should sit with the commercial banks and every other platform, the POS guys and stuff like that. The POS guys now are cashing out.
Yeah.
They're cashing out. I mean, like, ordinarily, if you want to withdraw 200 in those days, they would tell you it's 200 naira. Okay? But these days...
I was telling you, I said yesterday, I paid 1,500. I said I have to drink water. So, I can't begin to transfer 200 naira, with my phone to... And that's okay. Let me withdraw a little cash. I can go for the POS guys. So, I called the POS guy. I said, okay. Initially, I was saying, okay, let me withdraw 30,000. Okay. In case, you finish the work. Yes, for other things. The lady came and said, for 30,000, I will pay 5,000. I said, for what? So, at the end of the day, sir, I had to withdraw 10,000 for 1,500.
Wow, that's
so, I exchanged Naira for Naira.
So that's what you meant by in your location?
Yes.
How much
are they exchanging? Well, for me, I was exchanging at 1,500.
So it's unfortunate where we found ourselves, and we need to quickly address.
But in terms of quickly addressing the issue, do you think this man, this current CBN governor, have the capacity to continue in that office?
Yeah, a lot of things have happened to him as a person. I mean, quite a number of people have lost confidence from the day he bought form to contest for the presidency.
Yes.
From that time, I mean, INEC even expressed reservation that
in keeping their sensitive material.
Sensitive material may not be able to go. So a lot of things that cannot happen outside this nation happen here, and we bear them. But let me talk to the people in the sense that, look, in case you do not even believe in humanity, always also remember there is God in everything that you do at the end of the day. Because the suffering that the people are passing through, I don't think it's
terrible.
I don't think it's well deserved. So if I were the central bank governor, long time ago, I would have thrown it in the towel. I mean, I was listening to a popular analyst on TV, and he said, look, the people who hired Emefiele are the people who want to fire him. So I think his saving grace is that Mr. President still
wants him.
He still wants him. Okay, so that's why he's still there. Ordinarily, he doesn't have any business
in that office anymore.
In that office anymore. And we also even need to talk about when you hear news of the fact that they caught people with huge sum of money. The new Naira note.
Yes.
I mean, there was an incident where they said, look, they were spraying the new Naira note in bundle, in the way it's wrapped.
Yes.
So that means that it's not an ordinary, it's not a street transaction. So I imagine that there is no bank you go today that you get a pack of money that is sealed. Okay, you can only get that from the Central Bank of Nigeria. Okay, and people are trading our currency on the street as I'm talking to you right now.
I said we are exchanging Naira with Naira.
So it's we've never had this bad. I want to urge the authority to quickly address the situation, because if it continues like this, we don't know what may likely happen at the end of the day. Vote buying, they're trying to address. Some people say, like, look, the people who want to buy votes, they have the capacity to be able to get this new denomination, yes, at the expense of the ordinary people. So that policy on the long run itself may not achieve
the result that is intended to achieve.
So change of currency redesign is not a new thing. You know that in the UK now the Queen died,
yes,
and the King, but the two currency, the king, the one carrying the king together, and the one carrying the queen, will run for some time, and naturally the one carrying the queen, as it goes into the bank, it will not come out again. So they keep withdrawing until such a time that you will not even find that currency again. Okay, so ordinarily you will say, look, the Naira design is a good policy, but the
implementation,
the effects now is telling on the
the execution has been very, very poor.
So that's where we are. So long and short, let the central bank do something gradually, instead of them trying to lay the blame at the doorsteps of the bank. The banks are carrying a huge risk now that they didn't bargain for. When you talk about risk management and stuff like that, this risk of the central bank pointing that they have the money with the commercial bank, and the money not with the commercial bank eventually,
or in the quantity that they can dispense,
is a big risk that our financial system is currently witnessing.
Because
now,
I saw a video of one man that was jumping on the counter and was shouting that, okay, I'm withdrawing all my money from this bank.
That's what I told you, and then I was like, you even want to get a portion. Somebody even gave me an experience that, look, the limit he had was 3,000, and he was able to withdraw the 3,000 from the bank, and he's holding on to it very jealously, and that he's not willing to let everybody have that. So let them quickly work on the policy. Elections are coming, 25th.
Yes, February.
February. That's barely
23 days.
Yeah, 23 days from now.
22 days.
Yeah, so, the election is staring us
at the face.
Right in the face. For the first time, we're not sure about who is going to win this election.
Exactly.
Yeah. So that's the point, the place where we are now, which is, again, I think is good. Okay. A lot of sensitization is going on right now. One of those sensitization is that, look, a presidential candidate must have 25% in about 24 states.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think that is quite is a message to all the
candidates,
all the leading aspirants, to say, look, it's not just enough for you to have majority. You also have to have 25% in
24.
In 24 states
of the country,
so which is very, very critical. So all of them, they are on the
because
the drawing board.
I was sharing something with some people some time ago, and I was telling them that the election is looking more like the 1979 I mean 1973 election.
Okay.
Okay, where you have the, three major tribes coming out from the three major political parties.
Yeah.
And you see a situation whereby each of these major ethnic groups we are now aligning with their candidates. And at the end of the day, it was a problem because they couldn't really. The candidate that won, it was intervention of the judicial process
that assisted.
Yes, that assisted him in winning.
Okay.
And which also created a lot of
it's looking more
problems.
it's looking more like that. It's just that the candidate now are trying to distance themselves from
their ethnic background.
When you see people like Peter Obi, they will tell you, look, I'm not an Igbo candidate.
Yeah.
I'm a Nigerian candidate.
Yes.
And when you see the youth rooting for him, so you will know that, look, the earlier he takes that
position,
the better for him. Atiku was said to have made a statement to say, let's not vote for North, which he was heavily criticized for. He's said to be a unifier. Okay, so but he has to start that unification from his party. Which has become a big unification battle.
We're going to come there because, we're going to come there. Maybe we'll wrap it up at that point. But I want us to look at, these candidates, their policies, their manifestos. What are they saying?
Okay.
Are they making sense? In terms of, because we know that one of the challenges we have also is, fine, candidates come, they make promises, and there is no clear path into how we can hold them accountable to those promises. So, but first, let's look at policies that they are making, these policies that they are throwing out there.
Yeah,
are they making sense?
One of the first challenge, I listened to an analyst, and he came to the conclusion that our parties don't have ideology. So, if you don't have an ideology, then your manifesto is now going to be based on what? So you can see where the foundation, how did they say it? When the foundation is
destroyed. What can the righteous do?
What can the righteous do? So right now anywhere belief is. So they have to start from the ideology. What does my party stand for? Why do I say they don't have ideology? In the morning, you have somebody who is a member of PDP. By evening time, is a member of APC. It's like switching between day and night. Okay, so they have to start. Looking at the manifesto, I think because the longest serving contesting candidate there is Atiku. So because of that, he's been able to have what he calls a 5-point agenda, which he has been able to carry on for quite a long time. So he's following that manifesto, and privatization is one of the things that he will keep talking about. I don't want to sell, I want to privatize. So all that forms around that. So you discover that even when Obi, Kwakwanso, and Tinubu, came out for quite a long time, they didn't have
a manifesto.
So somebody said, look, they quickly put consultants together to put something together for them. And it is obvious, because any of those candidates, if you ask them, speak to page 25 of your manifesto, he will ask you, what is
in that
page? He will ask you, I mean, I've tested that with all the candidates. He will ask you, okay, what is page?
What are you talking about?
what is on page 25 before I can speak to it? And the famous trip to Chatham House in
London,
when a particular candidate was asked a question, probably he couldn't answer the question. Yeah, now I said, okay, this is my man. We answered the question.
They said he was delegating.
No, for us that are analysts, what will have happened. One of the things that you will notice about these people is that right now, because of the volume of movement they make, the volume of talk that they have to give, brainwave sets in. Sometimes you They blank out. You know, they blank out. Okay, what's this question?
What am I trying to say here?
And I think for the first time, this is the longest
Campaign season.
Serious. So they're really, I mean, elections in Nigeria, even in the US, is very tedious. It's very, very tedious. I mean, you will see what will happen now. By the time the presidential candidate win, he will have to take 3 months out.
3 months leave.
To go and sort out himself. Because, man, it's not easy.
It's not easy. You will see somebody flying to Plateau State today. Tomorrow is in Rivers. The next one is Kano, you know.
So the people cannot even track the manifesto now. You know, they cannot easily, but they just want, let us just have a change. You understand? And I pray that they don't get disappointed.
I'm telling you.
By the time they get the change that
they're asking for. I hope it's not going to be this current change. Anyway, let's talk about, you know, the clash of the, you know, of the Tinubu campaign council, and because we have the clash with the Tinubu campaign council, we have the clash of the Atiku, the PDP campaign council as well, with Wiki. So, but let's talk of the one with Tinubu and the presidency. I mean, for the first time, you are having, you know, members of the same party, you know, during the presidential election have issues.
Yeah. So that's talking about the ideology now. What is the ideology of the party? I was listening to a governor yesterday. He was saying that, look, this Naira design is not an APC policy.
Wow. Okay, now in the real sense of it, it's not supposed to be an APC policy, because the central bank is supposed to be independent.
Okay, that is true. But again,
it's APC government.
It's APC government.
So it ought to have some synergy.
Okay. So the governor was saying that, look, it's not an APC policy. So, and that some fifth columnists, that's the language you use, have hijacked. Okay, and you now have a president who is drumming to say, look, let the best candidates win. So if I were to be in the camp of Tinubu, there are some things you discuss at the private day. So even if Mr. President deliberately does not want to support you, let it be that you have discussed with him. I'm sure his conscience will break in to say, look, if my party lose this election, you know, it's going to affect us on the long run. So if you have a candidate that you don't seem to buy in completely, you have to sit with him to say, look, you need to do this, you need to do that for me to actually support you. But when you now have a president that outrightly not say, look, let the best candidate win, which is what the people want to hear. You know, so now, if the candidate that the youths are rooting for, if he eventually win, I tell you, Mr. President is going to be a hero.
Yes. I think that is what he's driving at. Because from all indications, he has seen that I've not been able to give these people
what they want,
the kind of leadership that they want. So, if there is anything I can do, is to give them what they are looking for in terms of who is going to take over the leadership after my exit. So I think the president is trying to be smart there.
It's trying to be smart. So, most importantly, the problem that we're passing through as a nation is not my mind. The way they will say it in the
local parlance.
In the local parlance, it's not my mind. We are in a deep shit. But if there is sincerity of purpose for the next coming president, if it's sincere, because we have seen that integrity alone is not what we need.
Yes,
we need somebody who has what it takes. You are sincere, you have integrity, you also know what to do.
You have the capacity.
So you also know what to do. That's what you call capacity, to be able to solve this problem. And for me, it's not a big...
the choice is just very clear.
It's not a big problem. You know, they say we have revenue problem. They will have sources of getting revenue.
Yes.
Good. I mean, for the first time, FRS broke a record of...
over 2 trillion nairas in revenue.
You have the customs there. They have not even declared their own. Okay? You have the agricultural sector. And I tell people, look, with the agricultural sector, you don't need more than 6 months of good rainfall to transform our nation. Okay? I mean, Operation Feed the Nation used to be there. There was Operation Go Back to Land. Okay? People are now talking about backyard farming, making sure that you are trying to do something. If you have good rainfall for 3 months, okay, okay, and you get everybody to get back to land, what will happen is that we're going to get enough food, especially in the grain aspect. You have rice, you have millet, you have maize, all these things are available. So when you now have that in abundance, then you have what is called a good challenge. We now have all these things. What do we do?
How do you store them? How do you preserve them?
So transformation comes in now. So that's where you have a handshake with a nation like China. Okay? Having a handshake with them, it's okay, you have technology, we have the food. Okay, so give us a technology to transform for better preservation, okay, for better packaging, for better branding, for better distribution. Then you now have a situation where the people are able to feed 3 times a day. So as they're thinking about how to solve the Nigerian problem, their tummy is filled up. Okay?
And they're able to read it properly.
These are the kind of policy that we're expecting the presidential candidates to start churning out. You must not know all. But if you have a good team around you, a team of technocrats who actually know, who are sincere, because again you could have technocrats who are
selfish.
They are selfish, who want to do things.
We have seen so many of them
for their own purpose. So if you have that in place, then it's very easy.
So do you think there is a way out between the Tinubu campaign and the presidency? Do you foresee any meeting ground?
Yeah, because yesterday the Minister of Information was making a caricature of what the governor said, because the governor said that the people trying to sabotage are in the presidency. Okay, so, and overheard the Minister of Information was saying, look, we are the presidency now. Okay, you know, that question has been, who is
the presidency?
Who is the presidency has been there, and the journalists were there while he was doing the press conference, and he said, look, we are at the villa now, which maybe we refer to as the presidency. It means that you people are also part of the presidency. So they need to sit down. If the party, somebody also mentioned that, look, APC is not a party. I'm not the one that said that. He said that it's the coming together of different set of people, that those different set of people now are now trying to express
themselves,
who they actually are, and that will cause it will lead to a situation where the true color of the party
will manifest,
will come out. Okay, so let them be careful, let them go back to the drawing board to see how they can talk to themselves if they actually want to win the election.
Now, moving from the APC, we also have the same scenario with the PDP. PDP, unlike the APC, from what you're saying, has been a political party for many years. And today, we're having a situation whereby there is a governor from the party that is, directly, against the presidential candidate of the party. And the presidential campaign council came out recently to say that it does not have integrity.
Yes, Nigeria is on a journey. Let me put it that way. The journey is that with time, people's true color will begin to come out. I mean, there is what they say at a point in time, the election goes to, is zoned to a particular zone, then it goes back to the other zone. So what I think PDP is facing is, if you remember the time of Goodluck Jonathan, they were saying that, look, it was not the turn
of the South.
And some people worked against him. They left the party and worked against him until the point where
he lost the election.
They were the same, it was the same PDP. People in PDP now left, worked against it. So now, we now have a nation, bringing it to nation now, that the presidency is in the north now. So common sense, we say it will go to the south. Those same set of people are now saying that it doesn't matter. That's what is just happening. They say it doesn't matter. It can go to anywhere. So this principle of fairness
and equity
and justice
has been trampled upon.
So that is what is happening.
And in Macbeth, they said if your mother sleep, then you will no longer sleep.
Yeah, that is it.
So that's what's happening.
That's what is happening. So, they say if those who kill by cutlass, when they want to die, it is cutlass that would kill them. So it's nemesis. that is catching up.
It's catching up with them. Okay, so let us wrap up very quickly with this issue on the Osun election. How is it going to, the issue of beavers? Today we are hearing that the Osun election was full of overvoting, and the beavers was at work in that election. So how are we going to now cope with this issue in the general election?
Yeah, I think it's good that the issue of Osun came up because again, when I listen to the so-called experts, they say, look, we'll find a solution to our problem. Because it's a miracle. It's a miracle. And all of a sudden, an Osun election tribunal now says, look, that was overvoting. And now we're waiting for INEC to come out with a position. I overheard them saying that some of their staff may have compromised. Okay, so I don't know. With beavers, there is not supposed to be overvoting because everything has been computerized and put inside the beavers. So if you come, if you are not in that particular polling unit, there is no way you will be recognized in that polling in that distance. So if you try to vote in the polling unit that is not you're not registered in, it's supposed to bounce you. So when you now tell me about voting, it looks strange to me. Okay, because the beavers must identify you, that your
data,
your PVC is the correct PVC, and that unit you are voting is supposed to be the unit you are supposed to vote. So if you insist that you have to vote in that unit, then that's where the law enforcement agent comes up.
To come in.
So it's a big blow to the much publicized beavers, because again, politicians now they will go to your stronghold and go and try to achieve overvoting in your stronghold, just because the law says that, look, the moment you have an overvoting, you cancel the election in that polling unit. So of course, the politicians are very smart. The next thing they will come up with now to say, okay, let us go and do
overvoting
in your stronghold. So Nigeria is a very interesting country. I would always argue that we're a developing nation. A lot of people will say, look, when you have an advanced nation, why do you have to develop again when you can easily copy and paste? But of course, we have been able to arrive at beavers. People are talking about diaspora voting now. People are talking about, why can't I vote in the comfort of my room? So there are questions that will keep coming up, and I always say Nigeria is a very interesting nation. You can't imagine that telephone, the mobile phone came to Benin Republic before Nigeria. But today you cannot compare Nigeria and Benin Republic
in terms of adoption of.
So when you look at even beavers, they use beavers. The brand of beaver they use in Kenya is not as sophisticated as the one we use in Nigeria. So Nigeria is a nation on the move. We have to get to a point where we need now to talk to ourselves. I was talking to my vendor this morning, because what I do is that I make a deposit for a week, then I just come and pick the newspaper. So for the past few days I've not been around, so he's been keeping the newspaper for me. So today I came around and I gave him 1,500. He was so happy. He was so happy. He said, look, all these cars that you are seeing driving like this, nobody could bring out 1,500. Because of the cash crunch. The cash. And this particular guy, they were the champion of the people that voted for
the change.
The change. So they are now saying that the change has
to be changed.
Has really dealt with them now.
They have to change the change.
So Nigeria is the nation on the move, and we believe that very soon things will take a proper shape. When we look at the people who are actually jackpotting now, there was a time we looked at the issue of jackpotting. So if we need to go back to the issue of jackpotting, I entered a taxi and the young man told me that, look, if he gets 14 million now, he's going to jackpot. So I said, okay, if you have 14 million and you stay in, I mean, if we do like a survey and say, okay, you take 14 million and go to UK, for example, and I give your brother 14 million. I said, 20 years from now, who do you think will be better off? He himself mentioned that he will actually jackpot, but he believes that his brother who will remain here
will be better
off. That's to tell you that, well, it's good to jackpot, but remember that you are going there to meet a sane economy, a economy where you cannot become a millionaire overnight.
Yes.
Okay? So an economy where you keep working, you understand, and keep paying the right tax. So why can't we, settle down to try to do the right thing? Nigeria has a lot of potentials. Nigeria has the opportunity to grow and become a big nation. So as you are trying to jackpot, for those of us who are here,
want to jackpot?
Yeah, no, for those who wants to remain here, yeah, let us try to build something to be able to, so that by the time they are coming back, they will meet us here. And
yes,
we'll be doing
better off.
Yeah.
All right, so I think that is a beautiful note to end it for today. We want to thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, it's,
and maybe you have a last word for the viewers.
Yes, it's important that we believe in our nation. These characters that we have now, they will eventually fade away.
Fade away.
Yeah, I'll tell you, two of those aspirants now, if they end up not winning, they may not be able to contest again.
Sure.
Okay? If any of them wins, it means that the other one will not. So it's a face that we are in the nation. We will have to face out these people. And let us say that by the time it gets to your turn, hope you will be able to do the right thing to get Nigeria moving and Nigeria to a better state. Yeah. So,
all right. Thank you very much, and we'll see you in the next edition.